My name is Danielle Driscoll. I'm the Assistant Director at Alumni and Constituent Relations here at PSU. I just want to welcome everyone and tell you thank you for coming tonight. You know, our office typically is traveling and on the road and taking lots of fried chicken for dinner. So this year, of course, like with everyone else, has been very different for us. We've hosted a lot of these virtual gatherings over the last year, really since last summer. And they've proven to be great. It's allowed us to focus a little bit more on the departments instead of our colleges and the university in general. So, you know, obviously there's some familiar faces among this group, and it's nice for you all to be able to see each other and have some time to visit. So as you know, this is for Family and Consumer Sciences. I'm just going to introduce our guest, and then I think we'll have all of our alumni introduce yourselves briefly too. Okay, so tonight we have Dr. Mary Carol Pomatto with us. She is the Dean of College of Arts and Sciences. We have Dr. Duane Whitbeck. He is the Chair and Professor, Family and Consumer Sciences. Dr. Amber Tankersley, Professor. Dr. Sheila Cook, Instructor. Ms. Goldie Prelogar, Instructor. And Ms. Jennifer Murray, Instructor. We also have Mary Jo Meyer with us. She is the Director of Development for College of Arts and Sciences. So
and Shawnee Hendershot.
Oh, yes,
faculty.
I'm sorry. Yes, thanks for joining us. Yep. So if I'll just name everyone off, and if you guys are comfortable sharing, we'd love to hear from you. So if you want to just give us your name, where you are, your graduation year, and what you're currently doing. Madison, we'll start with you.
Hi, I live in Pittsburgh, but I teach Family and Consumer Sciences in Galena, so it's a short drive away.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks for joining us. Lois?
I'm in Erie, Kansas. I graduated in the spring of 1964. And for 40 years, I was a county extension agent here in Neosho County. Even for a short time there, for a few years, I even worked with Sharon in the adjoining county. And now I can't believe it. I'll be retired 17 years come June.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great.
And busy.
Yes, you always stay busy. Okay, Melanie.
I'm Melanie Vest. I graduated first time around in 2002. I am a special education teacher at Iola Middle School. I work with the ID and S&D kids, and I'm currently working on my EDS and reading.
Awesome, that's great. Susan? Okay, we'll skip to Sharon.
I'm Sharon. I live at Altoona. I taught in Fredonia for 31 years. I retired about 7 years ago, but I still stay involved with the school district with subbing and helping out with FCCLA star events and things like that. So keep busy, but I like it.
Okay, thanks for being here. Carol?
I'm Carol Stevens. I live in Erie, and I taught consumer science for 25, 26 years, something like that, and then subbed after I retired in 2011 for another 6 years, and retired completely, sort of, when my husband retired. I have taught in overseas in the Philippines. I taught in South Carolina, and then I have taught most of the time here in Kansas in either St. Paul or Erie.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Janine, would you like to share?
I am still working part-time at a community health clinic, and it'll be 15 years this year since I retired from SRS after 31 years.
Awesome, thank you. And Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Beitzinger Watts. I graduated in 1991 under the Family Consumer Sciences, but I had a fashion merchandising degree and I minored in French. My first job out of college, I moved to Los Angeles and worked at Giorgio Beverly Hills in creative design. I met my husband, who was a military man. We moved all over, but I managed to always utilize my degree. We moved to London, and I was a visual merchandising artist throughout England with the Navy Exchange. So I got to do a lot of shopping in England and got paid to do it, which was amazing. After I started having children, I switched over to more of an interior design, and I started working more freelance. I work with Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams on their commercial and residential platforms. Then we moved to Orlando, and I continued on working freelance and built a pretty robust freelance company. The past 2 years, we just moved back to Pittsburg. I've got a 20-year-old that plays football here at Pitt State. My husband played football on the 82 team. So we decided to semi-retire back here, and I've since joined lots of different boards. I work with the Colonial Fox. I work with Pittsburgh Beautiful. I work with the Farmers Market, just trying to put a little bit of my expertise back into Pittsburgh. So I'm super excited to be back and excited to kind of get back in with my old college as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you for being here. And welcome back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get started here with our presentation, just a couple of things. We do encourage you to mute yourself just so we aren't picking up background noise and all of that. And if you have some questions, I do encourage you to use the chat function for now, and we will circle back around to your questions, kind of as our speakers see, and we can answer them at the end, of course, too. And we'll have some time for question and answer also. So don't feel like you won't have some time to talk. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Pomatto to kick us off.
Thank you, Danielle. It's really a pleasure to see all of you. I wish that I could see you in person, but this is a good alternative. It is wonderful that we have these kinds of opportunities to connect, even when we can't be with one another in person. It's wonderful to see alumni and friends of our Family and Consumer Sciences program. We have an amazing department, and the faculty members that are on this call or on this virtual event this evening are incredible. They can accomplish more in a day than many people can accomplish in a week. It's pretty amazing. They do a wonderful job with our students, and they have happy students in Family and Consumer Sciences. They're very well taken care of. And we wish Dr. Whitbeck the very best as he retires. We're a little unhappy with him, I have to say, but I guess we'll forgive him and let him go ahead and retire with our good wishes being sent with him. But he's done an amazing job. He's been a great leader. This year, he has not only led the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences, but he's also served as the interim chair of the Department of History, Philosophy, and Social Sciences. And so he has been very, very busy accomplishing many great things. Just one last hurrah before he leaves us. And he's done a wonderful job, and we have appreciated everything that he has done for our program and for Pittsburg State University. So welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Dr. Pomatto. Dr. Whitbeck.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's good to get a chance to talk with everybody and kind of bring people up to date with a few things. I'll talk about a couple of things, and then I'm going to turn some of the time over to some of our faculty, and we hope you have questions too. One of the questions that's come up on and off over the last couple of years is based on what is it that happened with our fashion merchandising area, because for years we had a fashion merchandising program, and one of the things that happened is that we had a revolving door with faculty, that we would bring faculty in and then they would move on to greener pastures after 1, 2, or 3 years. And so we were constantly doing searches, and in the time period that I've been here, over like a 15-year period, we had done like 10 searches, and we finally decided, because we were having such a hard time keeping that position staffed, that maybe we needed to look at some other directions that we could build a little bit in that time. So one of the things that we did when we discontinued our fashion merchandising program is we still retained things like we have our clothing construction course, and Goldie's done a great job with that, as well as she's also been making proposals for some advanced clothing construction courses and some additional things we could do. The other part of that is that that Sheila Cook has introduced some things, and maybe she'll talk a little bit about that, of some of the fashion related things that have been infused into her curriculum a little bit more on her side with the FCS teacher education program. Rather than being a standalone area, it's more infused into things now. One of the big things that we're really excited about is that we have a brand new $1.2 million 2-year scholarship that has been provided to us for students that are going into child development or early childhood unified. The funding is provided by the Ottawa, Miami, and Shawnee tribes, and their whole goal is to increase the number of early childhood professionals in 41 counties. So that includes 6 counties in Northwest Arkansas, 10 counties in Kansas, 12 counties in Southwest Missouri, and 13 counties in Northeast Oklahoma. And so we've been working on getting that all put together. Essentially what it is that it will give essentially these students a full ride scholarship for anyone that has completed 45 credit hours or more. They can basically complete all or most of their education in those areas. And so we're reaching out to community colleges, we're reaching out to students wherever that we can to try and draw in more students to get them more involved in that program. And we're really excited to have that, and you'll probably be seeing or hearing more information about that in the future. We're hoping to extend it beyond the 2 years, but initially right now all we have is the initial 2-year commitment. As Dr. Pomatto mentioned, we're going to be going through some leadership changes within the department. I started at PSU in August of 1997 as an instructor for the child development courses. And I also was, at that time, also the lead teacher in the preschool. And it's interesting, as you get to the end of an experience like this, you start reflecting on kind of what's happened during that time. Prior to being hired, I gave Dr. Olson, who hired me, a list of 14 goals that I had, of things that I said, if I can work on these things, then I think Pittsburg State is the place that I'd like to come and work. And during the first 2 or 3 years, it felt like I was able to accomplish 13 of those. And the only one that hung on that I still struggling with, that I really wasn't able to feel like I made significant progress on, was getting a certification or licensure program in early childhood. And thanks to the efforts of Dr. Tankersley, especially over the last couple of years, that was finally pushed over the finish line. And she's going to be sharing a little bit of information about that program. And so it's kind of, there's been new goals that have been set during all that time, but of my initial things, it really feels good to feel like I had finalized and finished those things that I'd started on so many years ago. I've been the chair of the department since 2001 and helped to build the building and all the things that went along with that. And one of the nice things that I can say is I'm getting ready to leave is we have strong faculty, we have strong leaders, we have people that I have total confidence that they are going to lead this department strongly into the future and continue to produce high quality graduates, and the program will continue to be successful. And so in that respect, it's not hard to leave now because I feel so good about where things are going. The immediate leadership of the department, we're going to be finding out in the next month or so exactly how that's going to shake out. And a lot of that, you'll be hearing more about that kind of in the future, and we'll see kind of how that ends up. Other things that are really kind of important, Sheila Cook has moved from being an instructor that's starting this next fall. She will be in a tenure track position as an assistant professor, and we're excited about that. Shawnee Hendershot is going to be the faculty senate president this coming year, and she's also going to be taking over the coordination of the CTE FCS master's program. And we have a lot of former students, especially former teachers that are teacher ed students that come back and participate in that program. And so we have a dynamic, fantastic group of people to kind of lead into the future. Today we have 4 of our faculty. One person that's not here is Carrie Chronister, who leads all of the practicums and student teaching experience in the lab. But the 4 people that will be talking a little bit today are Goldie Prelogar and Jennifer Murray and Amber Tankersley and Sheila Cook. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Goldie first and give her a chance to share a little bit about kind of what's happening with her programs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So please let me, whoops, that's email. Let me change this just a little bit. Can you see a PowerPoint slide after I move you guys out of the way?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Just shrinking that up a little bit. So I am in charge of the community and family services emphasis area. But Dr. Hendershot and I are also in charge of, we're the advisors for Phi Upsilon Omicron. So I don't know, was anybody in here Phi U alumni? There's some Phi, there we go, that's what I thought. Only the best of the best here today. Okay, so one of the things that COVID canceled for some of us is that in 2020, the EDUCAT chapter turned 100 years old. And so being the history, being that we're only the 6th ever chapter created, has been really important to me. And so we were a little disappointed that we weren't able to be able to do more things that year, of course, because of COVID. But we're hoping that come next fall, when we can start maybe opening things up again, we'll be able to have some sort of celebration for the EDUCAT chapter's 100th anniversary, because that's pretty cool, I think. In addition to that, we initiated 5 students this last spring, and we have 5 students that are graduating this semester. So we got to see them all put on their cords and their stoles, and there's been an awful lot of purple in the department lately. We did do our initiation through Zoom, and National gave us some helpful tips, but it was still a little strange to do initiation through Zoom. I can't wait till we can get back to the ways that we usually do things, if you will. Some of the things that I've been doing and that Dr. Whitbeck thought maybe we should talk a little bit about is freshman experience has changed to Guerrilla Gateway. So our incoming freshmen and our transfer students now do something called Guerrilla Gateway, which is based on that freshman orientation. And instead of well, let's see, they approached us about sort of expanding that experience a little bit. So one of the things that they did was they talked to some industry leaders, and they talked to some other folks, and they said, what is it that you want all Pitt State students to leave with? And one of the things that they talked about was personal responsibility and some basic understanding of personal finance. So I worked with the rest of the steering committee, and we came up with some basic personal finance curriculum for all of our freshmen to take. So I wanted a lot more, but I got 5 lessons. Several of us were vying for time, but I got 5 lessons. So now every Pitt State student gets at least some information on budgeting, credit, and debt, and that includes some on student loans. We talk about big purchases like purchasing a car, purchasing a home, other types of loans. We talk a little bit about risk and insurance. And then before they go, we talk about pay, benefits, and hopefully we've talked them into signing up for retirement when it's time for them to sign up for those things. The other things that I've been doing is I created a new course this spring, and it's called Family Financial Planning and Education. And it covers a lot of different things. This is the cover of the textbook that I've used for this class. It talks about finances from a family perspective. So talking about money with your children, how a family builds a financial plan. We go over statements, goal setting, and then it's much more in depth on budgeting, saving, renting versus owning, mortgages, all the way to a little bit on estate planning. And I have a student in the class this semester who is a financial counselor as a part of his, he's a minister. So he does financial counseling in his minister role. And he said that he has learned a lot from the course. He already thought he knew a lot, but he says that it's helpful. So that's been really nice feedback. And then we also go over some teaching techniques, and I have some free personal finance curriculum that I share with them. So it's been a lot of fun. We've also been working towards some future plans, adding in some additional coursework, hopefully. I am working towards becoming, hoping, this is not finalized yet, but becoming an education program that's accredited to make financial counselors. So we would be able to offer the coursework, and then the students would be able to take the exam, and they would be able to be accredited financial counselors, which is a national accreditation. We would also, eventually like to work towards a minor in family financial planning, and, pie in the sky, our own emphasis in family financial planning. Then something else that I wanted to share is in Community and Family Services, a practicum is required of all of our graduates, but I also highly encourage them to take on internships. And so in the midst of the pandemic, that got a little interesting. But this semester, I have one student who's working in Fort Scott in Communities and Schools, which is a really great program. I have one who's doing an internship with Healthy Families, Southeast Kansas. That's through Kansas Children's Service League. And then I have one student who really did something cool, and she applied to a ton of internships, and she got one at the Intrigue Design and Event Center in Charleston, South Carolina. And the pictures have been gorgeous. This is just one example. So they have 2 event sites. I get to hear all about it. They have 2 different event sites, and they do tons of weddings. So if you want a coastal wedding, she is now the person to go to. She's getting all this fabulous experience on coastal weddings. And she said the funny thing is very few of the people that get married there are actually from South Carolina. So it's all destination for people, and all the pictures are gorgeous. And the only other thing I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about tonight is our social media. So Dr. Tankersley runs our Facebook page, but we are also on Instagram at PSUFCS, and we are also on Twitter at PSUFCS. So if you want to follow along, we post some funny things and courses and the different activities and stuff going on in the department. So feel free to follow us on our social media. Oh, and I see there's messages. Daniel, can I answer questions from the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So Mary asks who the person is at Communities and Schools. Oh, fabulous. So it is, let's see, Communities and Schools. That is Caitlin, and she is from Chanute originally. So, oh, and I don't like to brag, but I do. In the middle of the Sheila's laughing at me. In the middle of the pandemic, I was very happy that all of my community family services students were able to find a job doing case management and working in social services, and the jobs are there. They just, you know, they're ready for them. So thank you.
Okay. All right, I think I'm next, so I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Jennifer Murray, and I am kind of the new kid on the block, as you would say, as far as in the Family Consumer Science Department. I am so excited about this new program that we have. We started the program in August of 2019. And so, like I said, still in the beginning stages, but like I said, we're excited. I am a registered dietitian. And so I think, once again, we're just super excited for the future of this program. Had to start with a quote: happiness lies first of all in health. And I truly believe that that is the case. You know, without our health, without a positive quality of life, it makes it difficult to do any of the, you know, wonderful things we want to do. I also think too, at the heart of family consumer sciences, it's, you know, the betterment of individuals, of groups, of families. And one way we do that is obviously through, you know, good nutrition as far as trying to take care of ourselves, but then also too, just through positive wellness practices. And so that's what I'm really hoping with this program. You know, we'll have graduates that kind of get the best of both worlds. I'm, you know, really trying to make it a huge emphasis as far as, you know, getting across really sound nutrition information that's not the latest fad on a diet craze. It's not information that's just been grabbed from the internet. You know, it's information that's coming from very credible, you know, peer-reviewed sources. And so I think that, coupled with the wonderful classes that the students get to take in other areas of family consumer science, is just going to really produce graduates that just are pretty dynamic as far as, you know, with the having both ends of the spectrum of having the good sound foundation of nutrition knowledge, along with, you know, great teaching skills and hopefully great people skills. And I think, like I said, a lot of the classes that we offer are really going to help get them in that right direction. Components of the program, obviously, since the program is new, I'll just kind of give a little background on that. You know, the Pitt State pathway is kind of just the new general education guidelines, basically, that all undergrads at Pitt State have to take. Then, of course, we have the core courses that come through with family consumer science. One of those being the nutrition and wellness course, which, you know, I'm kind of new as a full-time faculty member, but I did teach as an adjunct for about 6 years prior to that. And during that time, I taught nutrition and health. And so it is, you know, usually a fairly popular course. And, you know, I definitely enjoy teaching it. And it's kind of a fun course because you get such a wide variety of backgrounds. You have people interested in going into careers in healthcare settings, but then also too, you have maybe those that are just kind of wanting to learn a little bit more about nutrition, and they have an art background. So it definitely makes for an interesting group to teach. As far as classes for nutrition and wellness, and these have kind of all been developed within the last, well, over the last about year and a half, I guess almost 2 years. First one, community nutrition. This is kind of one, Goldie mentioned with the pandemic last year. So last fall was my first semester teaching community nutrition. And I have to say it was a little challenging being that we couldn't really get out in the community much. So it kind of limited some of the field experiences that I really wanted the students to see. But we made the best of it, like everyone has, and I think we'll be better for it. And so excited to teach that course again in the fall. And basically it's just, kind of giving the students a little background on, the dietary guidelines. Well, who comes up with those? How do they come up with that? Different kinds of nutrition policies that are so important that so many of the programs that we've either heard about or, take part in, so many of those, come from those specific guidelines. So it's kind of interesting to get a little background story on that. Along with that, you also have, of course, sports nutrition, which this has been a huge class. Very fun as far as being able to offer it on campus. I was amazed, so this is my second spring to teach the course. When we started, I think we had about 16 students. This last semester we had 32. So it's definitely, I think, a class that appeals to quite a few students, once again, kind of across the spectrum as far as, different backgrounds, different majors, basically applying those nutrition principles to sport, which, for a lot of the students, of course, they're Pitt State student athletes, which is great. I did a talk earlier this year in February with the Pittsburg State football team, football staff, and football players. And that was interesting. Of course, we had to do it via Zoom, but it was good. It was nice to, have the opportunity to kind of share some of my knowledge, having the nutrition background and kind of, what are some sound principles for their athletes, especially during the off season, because this is obviously their off season time. Another course I'm excited to teach, this will be new for the fall, Advanced Nutrition and Wellness. And this course is kind of going to be fun in the fact that, I mentioned with nutrition and wellness, our basic kind of part of the family consumer science core class, there's so much information that we cover and we kind of just dip our toe into so many different topics. I'm really excited with the advanced nutrition and wellness. We're kind of gonna be able to dive deep a little bit more into, some of those topics of nutrition. A lot of those issues, I think people are kind of wanting to know a little more information about, whether it be probiotics, nutrition through the lifespan. We might even talk a little bit on sports nutrition information as well. But like I said, kind of be a nice time to kind of get into a little deeper with some of the research and things that maybe we're not able to as much with nutrition and health being such a limited time frame. Along with, of course, the nutrition and wellness, and this is an emphasis, of course, so the degree is in family consumer science, emphasis in nutrition and wellness. There's, of course, some minor options that pair very well with it, whether it be in public health, exercise science, hospitality. So once again, I think it's very applicable information to any of those minors. And like I said, we're just excited to have it at Pittsburg State. I'm excited for the program. Careers as far as nutrition and wellness, kind of the sky's the limit with it. You've got anything from a community health director to, in the school nutrition program. Obviously, that's huge. There's definitely a push now as far as, striving to have healthy plates at school. There's just a huge, obviously this was pre-COVID. Obviously right now we're limited as far as going into schools, sharing knowledge, education, things like that. But, they're really trying to make a push as far as sharing that information as far as for kids, ways to stay healthy, trying to help with childhood obesity. And I read a study recently, and it's amazing how that is, but actually for many, many children, the school lunch that they receive is actually the most healthy meal that they receive throughout the day. So there's no question, there's been quite a bit of stride in the last, 20, 25 years as far as changes in school lunch. So that's definitely an area as far as with this degree that you could see a graduate being able to apply the knowledge there. Another one too is working for like a nonprofit, American Cancer Society. Once again, sharing, good tips as far as nutrition and wellness, cooperative extension. I know we have some alums that spent many, many years with that. And, Wildcat Extension just recently had an opening and, one of our graduates would have been a perfect fit for that. So like I said, lots of different options as far as what you can do in the community. And like I said, just trying to, try to educate and get the word out that, gosh, your health is a gift and you have to take care of it. And it's something that, it's sometimes a challenging role to be in as far as educating when it comes to nutrition, simply because, there's not a quick fix. It's something that it is a marathon, not a sprint. And so it just kind of takes day in, day out. But I feel like as a career, it's something that is very rewarding. And like I said, we're excited for the program, and hopefully I'll be able to jump on a call like this in another year and there'll be some alum. So, and that is really all I have, but thank you.
Okay. Amber.
I think I'm up next. Let me share my screen, hopefully. Maybe. There we go. Is it showing up? Am I doing this right? Good deal. Well, I'm excited to talk a little bit about our new Early Childhood Unified Birth to Kindergarten emphasis option that launched this past fall. Hopefully everybody on this call appreciates how important early childhood is. It's certainly been something that I've been passionate about for a very long time, because that good foundation, starting with children when they're very young and setting the foundation for all their future learning and to set them up for success throughout their lives. Right now, we're in a time where with the pandemic, a lot of people really started to realize how important childcare providers were, how important school was, especially for our young kiddos. I think people started to appreciate teachers and childcare providers a little bit more, I hope. And I know that we go through time periods where we hear a lot of initiatives that are geared toward early childhood, and we're kind of in that mode again, where we hear a lot of talk about how important early childhood is, and hopefully our actions back up what we are saying about how important early childhood is. There is a lot of money that's flowing into early childhood initiatives right now. Dr. Whitbeck will speak about our interesting scholarship opportunity in more detail here a little bit later. But what I want to focus on is our new emphasis area. So just a quick overview of what our options have been related to early childhood here at Pitt State. When I started here in 2008, we had our Family and Consumer Sciences option in child development. We had a minor in child development, and then there was a new program that had just started out of teaching and leadership in the College of Education that was Early Childhood Unified Birth through 3rd grade. Dr. Whitbeck, I think from my first day here, was telling me how much he would like to have the Early Childhood Unified Birth through Kindergarten option. But there was some overlap between that, obviously, and the birth to 3rd grade option. It's a licensure program, the unified being when you graduate from the Early Childhood Unified program with either age area, you're licensed to teach in typically functioning classrooms and then in special education classrooms. The Teaching and Leadership recently launched their Elementary Unified, which is a K-6 typically functioning and special education licensure option. So that set a good motion for the phasing out of the birth through 3rd grade, because it was a lot of overlap with the new Elementary Unified, which opened a perfect opportunity for us to explore the birth through kindergarten option. Many of our child development majors would love to teach kindergarten, but with the emphasis in child development, they weren't able to obtain a license through the state licensing agency. But having that birth to kindergarten option, that allows them to teach kindergarten. It allows them to work in some programs that require licensure, which I'll touch on here in a minute. So it's been really interesting to see our students who were child development majors who have now shifted into early childhood unified birth to kindergarten. Some of those early childhood unified birth to third grade majors, and even some of the elementary majors have now shifted over to our birth to kindergarten option because they want to work with young children. They want to have that option of being in, public school type situations, primarily teaching kindergarten, but they don't see themselves teaching like first through third grade. So it's been kind of interesting to see. There's been a lot of ebb and flow with people moving in and out of programs as things are kind of settling out. Right now we have 15 child development majors. We have 15 that are in early childhood unified, although I have one that I know that I just got a message from today that may be switching from unified to child development. And we have 22 that are minors in child development. And a lot of times we get, people get their feet wet as a child development minor and they decide, oh, I might want to pursue that. So it's kind of a nice gateway into our programs to have that child development minor. What the components are to the Early Childhood Unified Birth to Kindergarten program, of course, we have the Pitt State pathway, which are those general education requirements that everybody on campus takes. There's a lot more flexibility and options in the new pathway. The way it's set up, I really like how much our students are able to tailor those general education requirements. We have our Family and Consumer Sciences core that everybody in our department takes, which sets the foundation for everything else in our department. It helps people really see how connected all of our areas are, even though they're very different. We have our child development core. So a lot of our infant toddler development, child development, our methods type courses, our guidance and communication courses with young children. There's a lot of options within, there's the standby courses that they have to take the core, but then there's some options for electives within the child development core. And then they will take the early childhood special education courses. So it's an infant and toddler class for children with special needs, one for preschoolers with special needs. There's an assessment course, an overview of special education, those types of courses that go along with the early childhood special education. And then the early elementary courses like primary English language reading course with a practicum. There's a measurement and evaluation, those types of courses that help prepare them for that kindergarten piece and also for preparing kids to move on from kindergarten and beyond, because we're not just focused on where they're at now, we're focused on where they're going. So it's been a nice start to this new program. I'm excited to hopefully in the next couple of, probably within the next year or two, we'll see some of our students graduating because a lot of them have changed their major to us, so they're already about halfway finished. This is just a little listing of some of the careers that are available in early childhood. The list on the left is job options that are open to both our child development majors and our ECU majors. We see both of those majors working well in early Head Start or Head Start classrooms and programs, in parent education and home visitation programs like Parents as Teachers. Some of them may become child care providers or teachers in child care centers. They may become directors of child care centers. Same with being in a community preschool, starting their own in-home child care. Many of them go on to work in social services or in recreation programs. But the Early Childhood Unified Birth Decay License opens up some possibilities with early intervention and early childhood special education services. The preschool programs and pre-K programs that are typically housed within a school district, that those become available to the people with the birth decay license, as does teaching kindergarten, whether it's general education kindergarten or special education kindergarten. So there's a lot of options I'm happy that our students have an option because not everybody wants to work with children in the same way. Some of us like to be hands-on on the floor, developing activities and carrying those out with children. And some people would prefer to work with families directly and one-on-one with children, or to direct programs that focus on the greater good for serving children and families. So I'm glad that we have more options now than ever before for our students that wish to work with children and their families in the future. So that's really exciting. So we're excited about the launch of this and look forward to getting more students involved in the program.
Thank you. Sheila.
Okay, let me pull my screen up here. So let's see, can we see this one? Yes? All right. So I'm Sheila Cook. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I do want to share a little bit about some trends and issues that are going on in the Family Consumer Sciences Teacher Education Program. I am the coordinator for the FACS Teacher Education Program here at Pittsburg State. And since most of you are alumni anyway, and either have been through the program or through other programs here at PSU, I really wanted to update you on these trends and issues within FACS education, and hopefully I can answer some questions if you have any. One issue that is not new to the ongoing FACS teacher education is the education shortage, or FACS teacher education shortage. As FACS teachers retire or teachers begin to move into other districts, there are not enough newly graduated FACS teachers to fill those open or retired positions. And that results in a teacher shortage within the Family Consumer Sciences field. And again, this is ongoing for many, many years. Districts are actually forced to either consider closing their FACS programs, or they will hire any able-bodied person that wishes to teach Family Consumer Sciences. So through the Kansas Center for Career and Technical Education, they have a teacher mentoring program. And they did a study a few years back about, the study showed that a majority of praxis teachers have about a 3-year window where they either stay in the FACS teaching post or they go back to their original content area. So basically, being a Family Consumer Sciences teacher is not as easy as what some of us make it look. And it's trained, degreed professionals actually have a greater duration in the FACS profession. So on an average at Pittsburg State, we have anywhere between 25 to 30 students currently in the program, and that will change or vary from year to year. And we average about 4 to 6 teacher candidates each semester. Each typically secure some type of a teaching position even before they graduate, which is fantastic. So that information actually leads us into the necessary changes that we need to make at PSU in our Family Consumer Sciences curriculum, just so that we can better train our graduates to have sustainability within the classroom. So for instance, looking at this screen, there has been a change in total credit hours for graduation from 124 hours down to 120 hours. And so we have to figure out, of course, we think everything is important, but what are some cuts that we may need to make in order to meet that requirement hours? Another change that has happened in our program is that the program degree changed from a Bachelor's of Science in Family and Consumer Sciences Education to a Bachelor's of Science degree with an emphasis in FACS education. So the title change does not affect the overall requirement, but it's merely a name change. So one factor that does change the teacher education training is the discontinuation of our fashion merchandising program. So it really is our responsibility as faculty to incorporate more fashion and apparel training into the FACS curriculum. So that includes infusing more applicable FADE curriculum. And for those of you that are not familiar with FADE, FADE actually stands for Fashion, Apparel, and Interior Design. And that was, Kansas kind of invented this need for, we know that fashion and apparel and interior design go hand in hand, but also because Kansas City is one of the largest clothing production facilities in America, besides New York City. So we have a lot of students that can be funneled into that pathway up in Kansas City. So for me, it was important to add more hands-on components in our curriculum, which is going to help our future teachers to have a better understanding of what really is expected of their FACS programs, and that those FACS programs also align with their career and technical education programs if they have them. I talk with my students all the time about loading up their teacher toolbox, and their teacher toolbox are just anything and everything that you might use in your future classroom. And so a lot of those include hands-on activities that always tie back into standards, goals, and then also objectives. So something else I wanted to talk a little bit about is, how does today's FACS courses actually align with career and family or career and technical education? And it is basically because it does tie back to career pathways. Those pathways build relevant and rigorous CTE programs of study. And of course, that always benefits students and communities as well. So if you look on the framework on the right, it is the framework for family and consumer sciences and how that integrates into career and technical education. It provides a tool for developing high quality FACS programs at both the secondary and post-secondary levels. It was actually designed to help local and state CTE administrators and directors leverage their FACS programs to support student preparation for high school, for high skill, high wage, and also in-demand careers. So it also supports and helps meet local economic and workforce demands for talent. So if you look at the FCC or FCS, too many acronyms here, CTE framework model, it clearly aligns with all aspects of education and human services. And that's going to be in that orange area that you will see on the top. That includes teach and train. It includes early childhood development and services, family and community services, personal finance, and consumer services. It's a little, on my end, it looks a little blurry. I hope it looks a little more clear on your end. But looking at how it also ties into visual arts and design, which includes apparel, textile, merchandising and production, interior design and pre-construction, and then also fashion design. And then lastly, looking at the green area, includes hospitality and food production, which includes food and nutrition sciences and technology, travel and tourism, and restaurant and lodging services. So if you think about everything that we've talked about this evening, it all ties back into this model. So all combined with the workforce skills, you have applied knowledge and effective relationships. It really does equal employability skills for all. So that is the framework model that Family and Consumer Sciences expands their standards for curriculum development and also for programs to continue to build upon. So I hope I've given you a little bit, a little bit of an idea of how we all correlate together and how everything fits back into the teach and train and education, because that's really what we do, is educate and bring practical skills for everyone. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Danielle, back to you.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I think we'll just open up the floor for questions. If anyone has something, feel free to unmute yourself.
I sent a question about how many students are in the department these days, your majors and your minors.
Right now, I can answer that. Right now, we're sitting at about 77. When we discontinued fashion, we had a solid core of about 35 students in that program at all times. And so as we gradually faded those out, that had a big impact on our numbers. And then right now, the nutrition and wellness area is still in the growing phase. And the early childhood unified is still in the growing phase. And then we're hoping to expand into the family financial planning as the next area as we move along.
I was visiting with a girl who's majoring in FCS, and she's in interior design, and I was surprised to find out that that class now is a pretty rigorous class over in the technology department.
Very, very much so. You know, that's one of those things that as we talk to students through the years, there's always been about 50% of the students in interior design that would change their majors within 1 year of getting into that program because of the challenging program that they have, and it hasn't changed since it's gone over there. It's still a very challenging program for the students. So many of them think that they're going to be doing what they see on TV and sitting down with clients and working one-on-one with individuals rather than working at a drafting table or on a computer and doing all the technical work.
Yeah. Well, this student said it was very challenging and not what he had anticipated at all.
Yeah, yeah.
My student that is at the Intrigue in South Carolina doing the event planning, she's a former interior design student that said, I still want to do design and I still want to impact people's lives, but I want to do it with events. And so she's a go-getter. They're not slackers, but she's ours now.
I talked, and I can't think of her married name now, but I talked with an alumna of Pitt State who actually was on the faculty at one time before she went to Colorado. She's getting her doctorate in Arkansas, and it's studying this people who are going into you know, they're not majors, they're teachers teaching, and then they don't stay very long, and she's researching that turnaround time and what causes it and all for her doctorate.
Ah, very good. Okay, any other questions?
The last thing that I'll just throw in is related to that child development scholarship is we're trying to spread the word as much as we can. If you went to our departmental webpage, there is an application form on there, as well as some information about who qualifies, what the counties are that people have to be from. And we would love to have the opportunity to talk with anyone that's a prospective student and work with them, whether they be at a community college right now, or we have a large number of students that are coming to us having completed a large number of credit hours while they're still completing their high school education. And so we would love to increase our numbers in all areas, but especially to take advantage of that scholarship opportunity right now.
Do you tell incoming freshmen about this type of scholarship? I mean, is there a way to get to, you know, seniors in high school? I mean, that could certainly change some people's minds for sure.
Right. And they have to have completed 45 credit hours before they can be entering into this scholarship program. But All of our admissions program people are now aware of this, as well as we're communicating with all of the community colleges. Our student success coordinator here on campus is talking with students, because very often we have undecided majors that are trying to decide between one or two interest areas. And so she's going to be able to talk to some of those students and about what are the opportunities that they might have with our programs. And one of the things through the 24 years that I've been here is when students come into our programs, most of the time they stay. We're the place that that very often they find their home with us after they've tried out some other things. And so we're hoping that a few other people in the near future are going to see this as an opportunity that they might not have considered.
As recruiting chair, can I say something about that as well? Duane, is that okay with you? COVID has also changed how we can recruit. So we're not able to go into high schools. Jennifer had been doing an amazing job of going to high schools, and I'm sure you can do a better job of explaining it than I can, Jennifer. But when the pandemic hit, we were no longer allowed in schools. So it's kind of changed the way we've had to share information about this, which is why we're now on like every social media platform too, trying to get more of that information out there. Jennifer, did you want to add in anything?
Goldie, you're kind to your kind words are appreciated. No, I loved it. It was so nice to go out and, be at the high schools. And I targeted high schools in the Northwest Arkansas area. And so I think in that fall semester, I made about 12 to 14 different visits. This is obviously a fall of 19 before COVID hit. And it was just great. It was so nice. The office development recruitment office, I had a nice little red rolling suitcase, and I'd come up and I had a whole big setup, and I would usually be in the cafeteria at lunchtime, and it was just a nice time to get out and visit with the students, especially in the Northwest Arkansas area. They're like, oh, Pittsburgh, it's not that far. And, when I would tell them how far away, I said, no, it's not far at all. They think Kansas, oh, well, Kansas is way away. Well, not really, from Northwest Arkansas. So it was great to, like I said, be able to let them know about Pitt State and all the options available and all the programs. And there's no question it has changed the recruitment. And hopefully we'll get back to the traditional ways of being able to hit the pavement. I'm sure Danielle would agree with that, being able to actually be out and about and, get to see the people and be able to introduce yourself. But it's definitely a positive experience. And like I said, for a lot of people, they don't realize the gem that's really not that far from them. So.
Do you talk to Zach's teachers, or do you talk to guidance counselors primarily when you go to a high school?
Well, so, it was interesting. Typically when I would go, my initial contact was usually with the guidance counselors. And then as I was there and, I would visit with the counselor a little bit as far as what my background is, and that I was from the Family Consumer Science Department. And then many times I would end up being able to introduce myself and kind of make contact with the FACS teachers. So nice, Dr. Whitbeck provided me with some t-shirts and some fun Pitt State gear to be able to give the FACS teachers some really fun gorilla pennants that they could hang up. And so it was a nice time, like I said, to be able to have that opportunity to put, a face with a name. And Goldie's right, we do have the best swag.
Our graduates from our teacher education program are probably some of our best recruiters for us. We get contacted by some of our graduates to do projects with them. I was a guest speaker in one of our graduates' classrooms in her like a child and human development classroom to talk just virtually through Zoom to talk about different career options in early childhood and a little bit about my background and some of the things that you can do with early childhood. And it was really great, and got a thank you note from them. And one of the students in the class mentioned that she really hoped she got to have classes with me when she came to Pitt State. And I'm like, yes, thank you, come on. And that's what our graduates are awesome recruiters for our department.
Have you used recruitment by way of Zoom at these schools trying to set it up with students? Other than just those who've been graduates that get their class on it.
Just through invitations so far from some of our graduates that are trying to find like field experiences or guest speakers for their classrooms. That's what my experience has been. It's been a very busy year for all of us trying to modify how we're teaching courses, for us to design a new recruitment approach. It's certainly in our minds that would be a great way for us to target, my lights just went off, to target our potential students. But right now, many of us are very stretched for time and trying to find a way to carry out a new project. But that's certainly something that's definitely on our minds.
Well, I'll talk to the two teachers that I work with, well, the student teacher and the teacher that I work with at Fort Scott High School, about whether they can set up some kind of Zoom thing. Would that be okay?
That'd be awesome.
Okay? Okay, I'll talk to them about that tomorrow. Of course, it's Chris Bowman and Kennedy Meyer that I work with, so, okay.
Kennedy knows.
Okay.
She knows.
All right.
And Lois, that was a great question. We've actually talked about some of our best recruiters are our current students. So even having our current students Zoom into the classroom, it gives them a little more experience. And it also, they're a little closer to their age and their demographic than some of us are. And so that's one of the things we've also been talking a lot about, is having our students go out and even promote us, since they're closer to their age.
When I was teaching, that was one of the things I did. I would have students come back after their freshman year or so and talk to the kids about what they were doing and the programs they were in. And I did it usually in my careers class, so that it gave them kind of some different options, not just facts necessarily, but it was a really good experience for the kids, both my students and the college kids.
That's great. Any other questions before we move on?
I just want to be clear, this 45 hours that you have to have, that can be in anything, basics, whatever. It doesn't have to be toward a family consumer science program to get into this program with the multi-million-dollar.
Yeah, or 45 college credits.
No matter what.
And Duane, does that cover things like room and board as well?
Basically, right now, what we're saying is it's likely to be at least $7,000 per student per semester, which is well above the cost of tuition, books, fees, and that it will give them essentially likely a monthly stipend that can be used on food, it can be used on their housing, it can be used on a whole variety of things.
We're going to suggest that it can be used as gifts for their favorite professors.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's great news for your department. Absolutely. It's a big scholarship.
Yeah.
And what was the total amount of that scholarship, Duane?
The total amount for the next 2 years is $1.2 million, with the potential of it being carried over possibly for two more years after that. So essentially what that means is if a student is coming in, is going to a community college, even let's say this next year, it could be that we may have this continuing on that might be available for them in a couple of years still. So it's not just necessarily going to be just this next 2 years, but we're hoping to extend it with another match of the same amount of money for the 2 years that follow that.
Are any other universities getting this kind of scholarship, or is it just Pitt State?
This is just PSU, just Family and Consumer Sciences, and just Child Development and Early Childhood Unified. We're special.
Yes.
Well, you are. I've appreciated the update tonight. It's been very informative. Thank you.
We've always known the department was special, right, Sharon?
That's right.
Carol.
Yeah. I think
Thank you all for coming.
Years though.
Thank you.
I'm hoping to see you, Duane, at your retirement. I'm coming in from Salina, so it'll be a busy afternoon.
Okay, see you then.
For those of
Okay.
you who are in Pittsburgh, Shawnee and I went to the Mall Deli for dinner tonight in preparation for this. So those of you that can't be in Pittsburgh, we did a Pittsburgh thing for you all.
Okay, so I have a few updates from our alumni office, and then we'll do some prizes, and then we'll call it an evening. So, you know, I mentioned earlier that we typically are traveling and visiting with our alumni, which we come to many of the areas that you all live in. Something to keep in mind, which I don't think that any of you are in any of these areas, but of course, you know, Gorilla's other places, so we would appreciate spreading the word. We have been taking prepackaged fried chicken dinners from Chicken Annie's to some of our local areas, and people have kind of gone berserk about it. We took almost 300 to Wichita a few weeks ago, and we took 330 last week to Kansas City. We'll go to Tulsa this week, and then we'll go to Northwest Arkansas, Springfield, and Topeka kind of in these next few weeks. So if you know any Gorillas, let them know we're coming. We're bringing fried chicken dinners and also creamy Italian from Mall Deli. They can add that on as well. So, you know, we're trying to bring a little Southeast Kansas to our alumni, even though we can't have in-person events, but it's great to be able to see some familiar faces, even if they're just kind of driving through. And we're looking forward to hopefully having in-person events, maybe some later this summer, but hopefully definitely in the fall, fingers crossed, as long as everything continues going well. So I hope that we're able to visit some of you in your areas again, like we traditionally have in the past. It seems like it's been a long time since we've been on the road, so we're looking forward to that. One other thing I just want to mention, kind of one of our other big programs in our office is the Gorilla License Plate Program. So I'm sure some of you probably have one on your vehicle, but it is available in Kansas, Missouri, and in Oklahoma now. So this is a great way to, you know, drive around with Gorilla Pride on your car. It's a $30 donation to the university. You can go to whatever department you want, including Family and Consumer Sciences, and that would qualify you for the plate. And of course, it gives back dollars to scholarships too, primarily supports the Alumni Legacy License Plate Scholarship. Last fall, we gave $85,000 out to incoming students who are legacies. So, you know, it's good to pay it forward to some students too. So just something to keep in mind. If you don't have one, you might consider, you know, checking that out, and I'm happy to send you some information. But if no one has any questions for me, we'll move on to some prizes. Sound good? Okay. Okay, we'll start with Amy. We have a Once a Gorilla, Always a Gorilla koozie and these cool sunglasses. And so those will go to Amy and also to Madison. We'll mail these later this week. You should have them before the weekend. We have this Pitt State Alumni license plate frame, and that will go to Melanie. We have this really large coffee mug, and it also has some coffee grounds from Signet, one of our local coffee roasters here. And we'll send one of these to Sharon and one to Stephanie.
Awesome. I love coffee.
It's pretty good. It's pretty strong coffee. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. We have this little cutting board with a split face on it, and this will go to Carol.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have some coasters. It's a little coaster set. It's got a little stand in there of the Champions Plaza Gorilla, and those will go to Mary. We have a Pitt State cup, and this will go to Janine. And last but not least, we have this Pitt State throw blanket. It's pretty cozy. It's been one of our hot items for this year. We just got them before we did all these virtual events, and that will go to Lois.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, we'll send all these goodies in the mail over the next couple of days. So be expecting a little something from PSU in the mail. If anyone has any questions tomorrow or later, feel free to send them to me or, of course, one of our special guests from tonight, and we'll do our best to answer. And kind of like Duane said, you know, you guys are some of our best recruiters, so continue to spread the word about PSU and in your department. And if anyone wants to come visit, let us know, and we'll do our best to roll out the red carpet for those students. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you to our guests for taking the time to speak with our alumni. I think this was a great hit tonight. So if everyone will unmute themselves, we'll do one thing to finish this. Okay, I'll start. Once a gorilla.
Always a gorilla.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Danielle.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Pomatto, and everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.